Hello everyone, we are from Group 12 and we're here to present our PowerPoint titled Analyzing the Movie The Village in 2004 using new historical and cultural materialism. Next slide please. Here's the member list of the group. Um, my name is Roindra Japutra, certain number is 094. Next slide please. So the table of contents is we have five subtitle here. First is the subjectivity, second is self-positioning, third is history as context, fourth is history as context, and fifth is the cultural context. The introduction first. Movie The Village, produced in 2004, is an American thriller movie by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bryce D. Howard, Joaquin Phoenix, Adrien Brody. This film is about a village and its population against the creatures that they call those we don't speak of. The setting takes place in an isolated village of Covington in the 19th century. The people fear these creatures as they take lives of people who cross the constructed large barrier of oil lanterns and watchtowers. Later found out that these creatures are actually members of their own community who dressed up as monsters. The twist in the end explains that they are actually lives in the 21st century and lived in Walker Wildlife Preserve built by Edward, a professor of American history at the University of Pennsylvania. He built Covington for a place for patients whose loved one died from crimes. Next slide.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Sauliano Riza. My student number is 156, and I'm going to uh, talk about the subjectivity. So the story gives the audience an insight that being powerful does not require a strong physical body. In the film, Edward Walker and few of his people hold the biggest power and responsibility over people in Covington with knowledge combined with their deepest secrets. So the people in that village is actually the evidence of subjectivity. As what is seen in the film, few dominant people always got to be heard and respected, meanwhile others don't. Stephen Greenblatt shared his thoughts on of subversion as something to describe this phenomenon. We define our identities always in relation to what we are not. Therefore, what we are not must be demonized and objectified as others. So the others here help them to unite and become strong. And when they succeed, their identities and existences are the evidence of the established power. Edward and his people, together with their intention to create a safe place, aka Covington, gradually turned to be a place for them to take the lead over the others, the Covington people. Edward and his people are the dominant. The people in that village as the others, and their product is the Covington village and its secrets. Next slide, please. So Edward Walker and his people can be classified as people who created this history of the village. Despite his intention to keep the people safe, he still takes control of their life and makes him the dominant who has the only knowledge. It is probably for a good cause because their motive was to create Covington. But those who don't have the knowledge would probably think they are the only people in the world living in an isolated place surrounded by monsters in the 19th century, where in fact the place they call home is actually the product of Edward and his people in the 1970s. They historically dominate their people, control and preserve the social relations without universal validity. Using new historicism, it is discovered that there are silent voices and individuals who do not have freedom. For instance, there is Ivy Walker. Ivy is Edward's blind daughter. Ivy was in love with Lucius, and driven by the love, Ivy desperately wanted to cure her lover, who was stabbed by one of the Covington's people, Noah. The only way is for someone to go to the town and look for medicines. They did not really have a choice but to hurry. And so Edward decided to tell his daughter the secrets they buried long time ago. This proves the truth is unstable because Ivy got to hear the truth untold about their home from his own father. In remote society, the power spreads their version of knowledge.
Hello, my name is Vivi Afrida and my student number is 042. So here I will to talk about self-positioning in the movie The Village. Self-positioning is the act of announcing one's own leaning. Traditional histories did or don't do this. According to Malcolm Payne, self-positioning is a process for personal reflection. You can do it on your own as a personal development or with a group of people who agree to work with you. It's based on the psychology of social skill development. The principle of the process is that we are all in a position in a social spaces. In here, we will focus on the self-positioning of the main characters, Evie Elizabeth Walker, Lucius Hahn, and Noah Percy. As we can see, Evie is the woman who had special relationship with Lucius, while Noah is her best friend that secretly loves her. Once, Lucius asks permission to go out of his village to look for some medicine in the town, but the elders reject it. Lucius positions himself as a good villager. He is the member of community who should give some help to the other member. He was determined to go to the town because previously there was a child who died because of the lack of medicine. Next slide, please. And then in the next session, we can see that Lucius was injured by he because he was stabbed by Noah. As we all know, Noah likes Evie. Then Noah positions himself as the enemy of Lucius. He doesn't want Evie to be with anyone other than him. So he chose to hurt Lucius because he sees Lucius as his rival. Moreover, he also positions himself as the proponent in his village. He disguised himself as a monster who scared the villagers, so they never wanted to leave their place to go to the town. And then the last, when Evie knows that Lucius has injured, he decided to go to the town to get some medicine for Lucius, even though there are some elders against her. From here, we can conclude that Evie positions herself as a good partner for her lover, Lucius, and to be a great villager. She ventured into town to get some medicine for Lucius and supplied some kind of medicine for another villagers, even though she was blind. Here we can conclude that situations affect their self-positioning thinking. Maybe the three of them were just ordinary villagers before, then the situations change and make them have to be able to positioning themselves in the social space.
I'm Putri Normalita Vinaya, student number 139, and we are going to continue to History as Co-Text. Louise Montrose suggested that New Historicism deals with the textuality of history and historicity of text. Co-text in New Historicism means reading a text along with its historical and socio-cultural condition at the time the text was created. So, Emily van der Werf proposed that the village tackled the issue regarding Iraq War, as the issue was still new in 2004, or the year the village was premiered. In this movie, we eventually find out that the monster the elders warned about in the woods were actually villagers using costumes. They did this in order to keep other villagers from leaving the village. We see the elders as the people who hold power in this scenario, and the monsters were mere tools that were created by the elders to keep their people in check, or just to control them with fear, even though the villagers has little to no information of what they fear of. Van der Werf sees this as a parallel to George Bush's War on Terror campaign following the September 11th incident by participating in Iraq War, although it has no connection. Bush repeatedly accused Iraq of possessing weapons of mass destruction, although there were no evidence. Whether the movie really had political elements or not is still unconfirmed. However, it is clear how the people in power would create tension and threat, just like the monsters in the village, in order to control people with fear. Next slide, please.
My name is Amalia and my student number is 147. Here I'm going to continue to explain the story as context. Like what Putri has explained before uh, about the textuality of history, it means about the context, which is the historical condition or background that produced the event in the text. So in this story, the elders are the ones who are responsible for the fear of the villagers. The monster attack the monster attack and the myth are all fake, which is made up in order to brainwash them for not crossing the boundaries the elders have created. The experience of the violation their relatives receive become the motive of the self-isolation, so no one of them uh, have not to face the cruelty in the world again. However, the character of Noah proved the elders wrong, which they think that evil comes from the outsider because the criminal can come from anyone, even the one who close to them. After the return of Evie, the villagers still continue to live in that situation indicates how people just accept the whole situation which made by people in power in their surroundings without questioning and critically thinking how it occurs.
So, my name is Kiki Nurhayati, and I'm going to talk about cultural context. As stated in the previous slides, this movie depicted how an isolated village lived in a modern era. There were several people who were wealthier and have more power in this village. As followers, the villagers could not break the rules and do what they wanted to do. They and their children were taught some rules that they have to obey and believe there exist. The ideological cultivation of the village elders trapped the villagers in an illusion. Some illusions of the existed master, agricultural and livestock products dependency, and some taboos such as red mythology and prohibition for coming to the village border. Although this village was a product of several people, the social class are still clearly visible. People who do not have the right to manage, control, do not have enough wealth or sufficient knowledge will not be able to take over this village. They will be bound to obey the village founder. The founder and their family member also have to be respected by other villagers as they were expected to know how to protect the village from the monster. Next slide, please. The power holders in this village were not only manipulating the villagers to obey them, but also practicing nepotism in their daily life. They abused their power for the benefit of their family and loved ones. For example, Edward Walker, Evie's father, told his daughter, when she wanted to leave the village that there is no monster at all. It was all just a lie. As one of the elders, he revealed the biggest secret in the village that no one should not have heard about it. Evie, as the elder's daughter, also violated the most prohibited rules in the village. Even the purpose of it was for helping someone. The biggest nepotism was practiced by Percy family. Noah Percy's parents have been hiding his identity as a monster for the whole time. Even when he died, they've told other villagers that Noah was killed by that monster. This also illustrated how they still consider the good image of their family.
So, in conclusion, for this for our presentation is for the for the subjectivity of the movie is by applying new historicism. It is found that there exists these silent voices who don't have freedom, in uh, resulting in the truth are proven to be unstable. For self-positioning, by observing the behavior of the three main characters in the story, it can be concluded that the situations affects in how their self-positioning thinking. For history as context, the movie itself represents the issue of Iraq War, where people in power creates fear in order to control other people, just like in the movie, how the village elders creates this monster story to control the entire village population. For history as context, the monster story are actually made up to scare the people, and by that the main characters tried their best to prove that the elders are in the wrong, and to prove that the monster story is also fake. For cultural context, the issue shown in the movie is about social class. The higher class, or we can say the village founders and the village elders, here they are manipulating the lower class, the villagers, the regular villagers, to obey them. And moreover, the higher class also practicing nepotism, abusing their power to gain benefits or advantages for their own sake, for their own family. I think that's all from us. Thank you for your attention. Have a good day.